come on and been part of our meetings in the past, any of our all hands meetings previously? If so, just unmute and introduce yourself. Nobody's new today? Okay. I do recognize a lot of names, but I see there's a couple that maybe I don't remember, but that's okay. Glad that we have people who are returning, so that's always good to know. That means you're gaining a lot of information and you found what we're doing to be valuable. So, hopefully you all know, since you've been here before, that I am Leslie Jones. I am the Director of Program Development for MSCC, and I am happy to help identify people who are able to present and come on and share their resources and their expertise with you so that you can take it back to your campuses and grow your research and enhance what you're doing there. We want to announce that we have a 2-day workshop coming up at Alabama A&M University, thanks Tanny, in Huntsville, Alabama. That's October 29th through 30th. We are going to be focusing on research and the technology to support that research. So those of you who are in that region, once the registration opens, feel free to register and come on and join us. We look forward to sharing more information with you there. All right, so Arctic is going to be our presenter today. As you can see, as I mentioned already, they are based at Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia. Arctic stands for Advanced Research Computing Technology and Innovation Core. The goal is to discover, develop, and deploy cyber infrastructure capabilities to analyze, model, simulate, and predict complex phenomena of interest to the Georgia State research community. I'm not going to read all of this. This is what we shared before. However, the objective is to particularly support investigators in projects that make up the long tail of science that are not traditionally supported by large-scale computing centers, the psychologists, biologists, public policy researchers, as well as traditional candidates in physics, chemists, and computer scientists. Arctic resources are available to all GSU faculty, staff, and postdoctoral researchers and students across multiple colleges and centers within Georgia State, and researchers around the world through collaborations and partnerships, which is what they are here to talk to us about today, what they're doing, and how you can become a collaborator or partner with them. So I'm going to allow them to go ahead and get started and present for you.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Good morning, good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
So, Sanju, if you can share the screen, we can.
Yes, give me a second. Share screen.
Okay, so I'm going to briefly describe Arctic and then describe how we can partner with you and then enable your research. So my name is Suranga Edrisinghe. I'm the team lead for the Arctic, and then I have two other presenters, my co-workers. Sanjit Timsina, she is the basically research facilitator for the Arctic, and then Chris Childress, he's the application developer for the Arctic. So Sanjit, let's go to the next slide. So Georgia State, as you know, it's in Atlanta, the east side time zone, and we are urban public university, and we have about 200 plus million research portfolio. You can get more information from this website. So let's move to the next one, which introduces Arctic. Arctic is our center, and it's established in 2020. And we were primarily funded by NSF Major Research Instrumentation Grant. Since then, we have acquired other grants from local and other funding institutes. We provide about 75 million CPU hour capacity per year, and we can provide 1.5 million GPU node capacity per year. System itself has about 70 terabyte system memory. And then anyone can use the system with federated identity using CI logon. And then if your institute is not part of CI logon framework, we can facilitate access through Google or other mechanisms. Sanju, let's go to the next slide. So the main difference between us and the other institutes like provide high performance computing capabilities is that we try to focus our support toward non-traditional users. So as you can see, this is the distribution, user distribution by field of science. As you can see, we have mainly economic researchers, neuroscience researchers, and then biologists, psychologists, so on and so forth. And our expertise mainly lies on supporting these users, pay attention to their specific needs, and helping them to use the cyber infrastructure we have. Sanjay, if you move to the next. So the next slide is the user distribution. The previous one was the PI groups. So this is actual users. As you can see, we have a lot of neuroscience users, the research systems, and then economics, and we also have physics, chemistry, and traditional computer science users as well. So I will hand over to Sanju to explain a little bit of research, and then you can continue.
Thank you, Suranga. So I'm going to talk about some of the non-traditional HPC users that we have on our cluster. Dr. Alejandro is from the Department of Risk Science, and his specialization focus on development economics, applied microeconomics, environmental economics, and health economics. And he mainly focus on economic effects of natural disasters. So his research mostly focus on economic effects of natural disasters and aims to identify how these government policies can help society adapt to the climate change. So in his recent project, he uses GIS data and then use it with machine learning model to understand the socioeconomic impact of the natural environment. And then next we have is Dr. Arun from the information system, and his specialization focused on digital innovation and transformation, managing artificial intelligence, platform business models and ecosystem, design and use of information systems. So these lists are the specializations that he has. And his research mostly contributes to understanding of the design, user impacts of the information systems, digital transformation of organization and supply chains, and deployment of those digital innovation to address the societal problems, including poverty, health disparities, infant mortalities, and digital inequality. So these are the non-traditional HPC users that we have on our cluster right now, and some of the traditional HPC users from we have just listed two of those researchers over here, and one is Dr. Andrew from the biomedical science, and his specialization is more in innate immunity, microbiome, intestinal inflammation, and obesity, diabetes. And his research mostly focus on understanding the normal mechanism by which the pro-inflammatory signals protect against microbes and discern how they go already in disease state. And next is our Dr. Samir Gozem from chemistry department, and his inspiration is computational chemistry and modeling of photochemical and photobiological processes. So his research currently focus on investigating the light-induced chemistry in chemical and biological systems. Next, I would like to hand over again to Suranga to discuss more about the non-standard HPC research.
Right. So, so I would like to highlight two projects that we are currently supporting, which is not mainly computational research, but it is also on the advanced cyber infrastructure. For example, this research, basically what they're doing is they are deploying detectors to detect cosmic ray activities around the world. So they are planned to deploy like thousands of detectors around the world, and then they have a need to get data from this detector to our system, and then analyze this data, and then understand cosmic ray activities around the world. So they do like simulations, and then they do have these detectors, and they want to get data from this detector to single location. And then, so our team actually helped them to build the infrastructure necessary to access data from these IoT devices. And then once data arrive the central location, we help them to, process the data and then do the downstream analysis. So this is one research I like to highlight, and then Sanju, we can move to the next one. So this is another research that falls under advanced cyber infrastructure, but not necessarily advanced computing. So this researcher from computer informatics system, she likes to understand, user behavior. So she has a science gateway. Basically, it's about it's kind of a survey. So you have front end from the front web page where users can enter their choices about different things, the movies, books. It's a survey. And then once users enter their choices, and then she run different models, and then she provides a feedback, and then she actually provides feedback, and then asks users to provide feedback on that analysis. So it's basically, it has a computing piece, but a web interface also. So we have deployed this application in our Kubernetes cluster with CI/CD pipeline setup, so that her group can manage her own code base and then update it, and then dynamically push it to the production environment, and then conduct her research. So this is another project that our group supports. So these are different kind of projects, but it falls under broader spectrum of advanced cyber infrastructure, but not necessarily high performance computing cyber infrastructure. So with that, I think I will hand over to Chris to go over these access mechanisms.
So, hey everybody, I'm Chris Childress. I was going to talk about how you would go about accessing our systems. So we have a management portal that's located at this address. It's open to the public, and then we have it connected to an OIDC solution that'll use CI logon. So anyone can really log into our systems. It can authenticate through most universities, and if you're not a member of CI logon, there's Google authentication, I believe GitHub, and then there's a Microsoft portal as well. So essentially, once you log in, it'll create a user that's just basically exists in the system, and then you'll want to go to a link that says request PI status. From there, it'll basically just ask it for an outline of who you are, what you're doing. It'll ask for a link to your department page or maybe a CV, so we can actually just verify who you are, because again, using Gmail or GitHub as an authentication solution can present its own issues. But from there, it'll be going through, and once your PI status is approved, you can submit for an allocation. And basically, you'll need a couple of documents, one outlining what your research is, your CV or the CV of all the co-PIs involved, and then just basically like a code performance document to talk about like what you need and justify like what resources are available. Sanju, next slide. Okay, yeah. So this pretty much covers the documents themselves. So we have all of these links that'll explain. I'm not sure if CI logon will go through Access CI. Saranga, do you know?
No, we don't need access account for this. It just
Okay.
CI logon. Once you log in, it will direct you to your campus, like your institute authentication page. If your institute is not part of CI logon, then you can use Google or something and then authenticate yourself.
Okay. So these are the URLs that just outline the document requirements of what's going on with those. Yeah, we'll post the links in the chat shortly.
Yeah,
and then all of our allocation approval is done by committee. They meet quarterly. There's really no limit on the computing resources you can request. The long-term storage, though, is limited to about 1 terabyte, and then you can pay for additional storage through just means of the request there. So Occasionally, if you're deploying a solution that isn't just an HPC computation thing, we may have to have cybersecurity involved to approve to be able to open up to the public. And then all the allocations are pretty much guaranteed for a year. And then beyond that year, you'll need a progress report to outline what you've done and how you've used the resources for renewal. So, any questions? So from here, once your project is created, we have multiple ways to contact us. We have a ticketing system that is a solution off of Redmine that will allow you to submit a ticket, and that'll keep track of everything. You can be members of multiple projects, so you just align the request to whatever project you're doing, and then we offer consultation appointments where you can book directly with us for an hour. That would be under the consultation appointments.
Chris, are you answering, looking at there's a couple of questions that are in the chat.
Yeah. Do you have office hours? And then
Yeah. And do I need access, login, those two questions?
so office hours are available by that consultation appointment. I'm actually pulling that up to throw that link in the chat.
And while he's doing that, there are a couple of links that are in the chat that have been shared for anyone who's interested in the resources that are there. Okay, so there's a link for you to get to schedule office hours and for a consultation. And for you to create a ticket for your support, the link is there.
So we can move to the next slide. We have a couple more slides, I guess. Sanjay, go ahead.
Yes, so once you have submitted the request and your request has been approved, then you can access the system. So one way to access the system is through the Hemera. So Hemera is an open on-demand that provides web access to the cluster resources. So as you can see here, so on Hemera, you can also log into the CI login. Non-GS users can log into the CI login. So if users need an interactive applications, then we can set up an interactive applications for the users. So as you can see right now, we have some of these applications stated like 3D Slicer, Blender, JupyterLab, PyTorch, TensorFlow. Some of these applications listed here are interactive on the cluster. And so you can submit job applications through the open on demand too. So if you go to the job section, you can create the Slum script and then submit the job to the open on demand. And then you can just get an interactive access to the applications also. So it makes easier to user to access the cluster and use if they are not familiar with the familiar with the Linux systems. So next one is additional application support that we have. So earlier Suranga talked about the IoT devices, and then we get the data from those devices from all around the world. So this is the applications that we use to collect these devices from all around the world. So we have ThingsBoard. We have ThingsBoard that does these the work, and then we support application deployment and then management on the Kubernetes cluster. And we provide CI/CD pipeline setup for easy deployment and maintenance. And this Karina is from the IoT data collection and management for any kind of IoT devices. And then we also provide the cloud native data storage like S3 on the cluster. And then I would like to hand over to Suranga to.
Right. So these are some links that you can get more information. And then at this point, I think I'm going to open the floor to questions. Then you can answer any questions that you might have.
All those links have been put in the chat, so to make it easier for you if you need them. And so back to the chat, I see that Janelle Pervez has asked several questions. I think they've been addressed, but I want to make sure. Have these all been answered?
And if you still have questions, you can send an email to arc@gsc.edu and then we will reach back to you.
Okay, Janelle, does that work for you? Janelle, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Yeah, the request PI status that he shows should allow him to request the resources.
You can go ahead and speak.
Oh, thank you so much. You have a great system, and thank you for bringing it out to the public. This is Janelle Pervez, and I work for UT San Antonio Health Science Center, and I work remotely from Dallas. Used to live in Mississippi for 25 years. Georgia was in my heart and mind. Always love anything comes from Georgia. Special love. What I wanted to know is, in my institution, we are small when it comes to HPC. I support life sciences. It's medical center. It's not like typical university with all domain, mostly life sciences and some neuroimaging. So what I find out from these NSF-funded infrastructures, people like you work so hard to provide this opportunity to people outside the university. In the paper, it always looks good, and you strive. Even I worked for a CC grant for 3 years to put that cluster. Barely people, or barely logged into it. You push them, and it's almost like $1 million infrastructure really set, and you burn the power. So what I try to do, and also try to help, that being a system engineer or architect, whatever we call, I would like to have an account for myself, and I don't need any computational SU. Basically, I want to log in and navigate your system and discover it, and then I will talk to my user and ask their use case and see if there's an applicable application that we can move. So there are multiple PIs. They have multiple projects. So usually the typical form is for any particular PI. I can grab one PI. Also, will my manager or director or someone will be equivalent to PI? Or second question, can be an individual postdoc researcher could be a PI, because I'm working. It helps me initially with the new the postdoc researchers who does not have money, who just getting into the research computing, and we have a condo cluster and they don't have access to it. And those are the people are a great candidate and always spend a lot of time with me, and they're eager to get help. Those who have condo, they know they have system, and even this idle, sometimes they don't use it. So if you could get me an access to your cluster, and sometimes if you need a software, I know your hands are tied and they don't have it, I can go ahead and install the software for them. But if you could do it, that's great. If you don't, there I'll be helpful. Also, sometimes they are in their pipeline, typically like in your clusters, and they have some issue, and it's not from your end system, and so you may not have time to troubleshoot those. so I can go and help him at that time. So more like a tutor guidance with my users. And people have fear, like the Sanju was saying. I have seen people with their PhD or graduate student doing their PhD who claim they have the Linux, never even know how to SSH to it. So this fear take them away, and so I wanted to help them to get into what is CI login and what is Access login, and it's hard for them to log into their own local system, let alone something outside. So if you could allow me and give me an account, and that will help me greatly to bring my user. And the end of the day, it's not me or you. People who do the science is for them. So, and that's what I try to focus on. But I understand if you have any kind of compliant that I need to go through. So I understand that, but this is my request.
Okay, great. So how do I pronounce your name again? I don't want to mispronounce it.
Oh, you can call me JP, Janal Pervez.
Okay.
I'm a campus
Janal.
champion as well.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think everything that you discuss is possible. So the first step, I mean, are you member of CI Logon framework? So can you log in through CI Logon with your campus credentials?
So NSF 101, yes, I could. I just logged in. I sent you a screenshot. It took me to your the portal.
Okay. So at that point, if you can send a PI request, you can mention what the story that you just mentioned, and then
Okay.
send us a PI request, and then we will start from there. And then we will work with you and then see what we can achieve. Only one thing that I want to mention is that we do not allow postdoc to be PI. We would like to have department chair as a PI or whoever that postdoc reports. Any new faculty members are fine, any researchers are fine as long as they are, you know, they
Okay.
hold some permanent position at the university.
Okay, that could be
So-
arranged. You have so many PI, I can just easily put their name.
Right, right. So that's the only requirement, and then we will work case by case basis. We will work with you, and then we will, we'll figure something out. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll fill up that Arctic high performance server infrastructure acceptance use policy. So
Right.
watch out that you'll see me. In order for the application to go through, I have to fill up everything, whether it is right or wrong. So at least you'll see it when it goes through. Because if I leave it blank, it's not going to go through, correct?
Right, it won't. So if you encounter any issue, just send us an email, arc@gsc.edu. So we will respond.
Okay. Oh, so you have this HTTP hydrags.edu. Is that okay? Yeah, I'll copy those. So the supercomputing happening in your backyard this year, right? Are you guys coming?
Yes, it's in Atlanta. So you guys
Yeah.
come.
Yeah,
we
it's
can
supposed
meet.
to happen 2 years ago. Didn't
Yeah.
happen due to the COVID.
Right.
So hopefully you're gonna be there, right?
We are going to be there.
All right, great, great, good to see Georgia. Yeah, we do know some people at Georgia Tech. They do a great work. You were in Athens, right?
No, we are right next to Georgia Tech.
Oh, okay. I've been to the Athens campus long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Out of downtown.
Okay. Well, I don't have any more question, but if someone else, but
Thank you for that. Hopefully some other people were able to get some information out of your questions as well that would be useful for them. There's another question. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, there was another question that's put in the chat. Does Arctic put on virtual trainings for new users or special topics?
We do. We used to do virtual training and then we switched to in person, but if we have demand, we can continue with hybrid option.
Okay, so for the virtual trainings, is that something that's like ongoing or you have to schedule it, or how does that work?
So basically, we schedule it, and then we advertise training. We can send that information once we set up training, so you can share it with the community.
Okay.
And also, like that consultation link that we sent out, that's pretty much a one-on-one with the team.
Okay.
So
And if you have any trainings, you'll see on our website too, the arctic.gsu.edu. So if we have any oncoming trainings, so you'll see that on this website too.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who has a question that they would like to ask about this resource and how they can use it for their research, or someone on their campus might be able to use it for their research?
I have a question.
Okay.
I am a genetics professor dabbling with bioinformatics, and we are trying to implement bioinformatics as a course in our HBCU. And part of my NEJS for bioinformatics for NEJS course is introducing new students as well as incorporating expertise from seasoned users. So my idea is to have an allocation that will allow me to be a super user, where I will be able to enroll students as users. And we have some servers here. My primary idea is for students to have real time and knowledge in server-to-server communication, and also analyze next generation like RNA-seq data and so on. So would there be help to set me up in such a scenario?
I think we can work with you. I don't know how the external users set up right now, Chris, but generally, once you get a PI status, you can manage whatever users in your group. That means that you can add premium users. I don't know how it's set up for external users, but we can work with you and then see what
they have to be present in the database. So once they've logged in once, I believe you can add them to a project.
So they need to be to apply independently. Then I can add them to my share.
No, you can add them to your share. They don't have to, apply independently, but they need to log into the system so that we can create a reference to that student or whoever, because we don't know who those students are. So they need to log in once. So it will going to create a reference in our system. Then you can add that.
Yeah, thank you very much. That is a very promising system, and I would like to use it. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Do we have any more questions? How do you get the CI login?
Chris, do you want to answer this question? I don't know exactly. I mean, CI logon, usually your institute need to share your credential with CI logon. So it's not individual person, but it is an institution sharing their credential with CI, to my understanding. Chris.
Yeah, is the question about how do you get your institution with CI login, or how does a user use CI logon?
In my case, I was just looking at it. So I have the CI login. Look like I used to work for University of Texas at Dallas for 7 years. Looked like at some point I had it, my email address, looking at the email address from previous institutions. So I was wondering how to edit those information. I can ask the campus champion or somewhere, but I thought if anybody knows in your team.
Right. So for that, I think you can directly, email CI logon. They should be able to correct those.
Right. Okay. also it's for the future reference for the new user. If they need to come in from my institution, they'll need that.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm always the one who talks a lot, so I'll
It's
shut up.
quite all right.
All right. Great.
Okay, and a link was put in the chat that I think can be helpful for you. Thanks, Tim. Do you see that link in the chat that was just added by Tim Middlecoop? All right. Does anyone else have any more questions, comments, anything they'd like to add? All right. Oh, go ahead.
So I'm more familiar with high performance computing, and I'm just curious for those, you mentioned some researchers who are not doing HPC. So I'm just wondering what their primary motivation is for using your computing facility as opposed to running things locally. I noticed that a lot of the software packages were open source, like PyTorch and TensorFlow and what have you. So what's the reason that they need a computing facility other than just running locally?
Right. So high performance computing, so basically it's using like parallel computing and then using multiple nodes. That's what I meant by high performance computing. So these
Right.
users mainly focus on getting high memory, right? So we have some users, they just need like large amount of memory. So we have nodes with
Okay.
3 terabytes of memory. So they can just log in and then run on that node. They're going to
Wow.
access large amount of memory. So that
Okay.
enable them to do research that they would otherwise couldn't do with their own, PC or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it sounds like we are ready to wrap up our presentation for today. I thank you all for sharing this resource. Definitely got a lot of conversation going. There's people who seem like they're very interested in using it, and hopefully more people who might not have asked a question will as well. As I mentioned, our goal is to always bring resources to you all when we have these all hands meetings so that you can enhance what you're doing on your campuses, especially for those campuses that are resource strapped a little bit. And so finding ways to do what you need to do and get everything done within your budget and making connections at campuses across the country is very important. So thank you again to our team from Arctic at Georgia State University. I think we're ready to close it out and wrap it up. So next month, we're working on determining what that's going to be, but we will see you in September. Tenny, do we have any more announcements that we need to share? I think we've covered everything, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. See you in September.
Thank you.
Thank you.